Talking about energy. This is Matias De Stefano's blog, May 3rd, 2021. And as per usual, we are going to be comparing it to the Law of One Tarot. So I'm going to start. Where shall we start? To start, let's remember what energy means. It comes from the Greek en, within, and ergon, work, inner work. Energy means inner work. Okay, so energy itself would be defined as the force that is generated by the exchange of an activity. So the force generated that is via exchange of an energy. So here we have the matrix, that's an energy, right? And then we have the potentiator. We have positive, we have a negative charge. This creates an energy and a force. So the key to energy is to act. So here, I've read this. It gets a little complicated. I mean, I'll read a little bit and we can compare it to the tarot if I can. I'm not sure, but let's see. So the Soy says, this explains the law of conservation of matter, in which it is shown that it is impossible to destroy or make the matter or mass of an object disappear, since the only thing that would be obtained is simply transforming it. So matter never disappears, it only becomes. Now, if we look at the transformation, that's sixth dimension is transformation, and that's, I believe, where sacred geometry is. And you look at the body complex and you look at the death card, it's really simple to see. Like, this guy has lost his skin, but yet we still have a rainbow above. A rainbow that's the frequency of the color, right? So even though he's lost his skin, bones are still matter, right? So using the frequency of the chakras, because the chakras are never lost. The chakras are never lost. What happens is you can still use the energy of the rainbow, the frequency. You just change, you transform. You can still be anchored to this earth. That's why he's holding this like anchor thing. You can be still anchored, but when you transform, and the transformation happens within the idea. So first, you have to use the photons to come through your crown chakra, which stimulates your pineal gland. And once the pineal gland is stimulated with photons coming from the sun, you will go that thought, whatever thought it was, and you give it more, like if it's a good thought, you give it more vibration, or if it's a bad thought and you're having anxiety and you give it a loving energy, that thought will go through a transformation through the chakras, because this is the body complex, right? And the chakras are all over. The chakras are your cells in your body. This transformation, nothing dies, right? Even though this is called the death card, there's no death to anything. It just transforms into another thought. And this new thought could be beneficial to you and change your perception. It's all about changing or growing in consciousness, growing in perception. Okay. So, like when we set something on fire, the heat, the fire itself, the chemicals or carbon emitted is the same amount of energy from the object, but dissipated in the environment. There you go. Yes, that's right. For this reason, you know the famous phrase, energy does not die, it transforms. Principles that explain reincarnation. The same atoms that make you up are the same ones that form the dinosaurs, the amoebas, the first ferns and trees. The same water that those trees and dinosaurs drank is what you drink today as you write this. Oxygen, nitrogen, everything you can experience with your senses in this world are the same atoms transforming, passing the energy like the inertia of an extensive train that pulls each car, passing the energy from the locomotive to the wheels of each section. So again, right here, transformation. What you're doing, you give death to an idea and you're creating, this is the alchemist. So the body complex of the Great Way is the alchemist. And that's what they're talking about. Your atoms, they transform. You're not losing anything. The key to energy is to act. As in the beginning of the first wave became a particle, becoming a particle has potential energy, which when divided generates kinetic energy. This marks the two types of energy in the universe. So he's talking about kinetic energy, but it's interesting. So we have the first, the matrix, the mind complex of the matrix, perhaps, as the first wave of energy. So he said, let's say that again. At the beginning, the first wave, becoming a particle, has potential energy, which, when divided, generates kinetic energy that makes the two primary types of energy in the universe. So that's a little confusing to me because, I mean, it makes sense, but it's confusing because in the Law of One Tarot, here is the potentiator, and the potentiator is growth and movement. So this potentiator, movement, this is what creates your energy. And the potentiator is also your gut. Like if you want to think of it as an organ, it's your gut. It's your second chakra or your orange ray, which is also it's your digestive gland. So is kinetic energy then the catalyst here? Because this is definitely growth and movement. It's action. But maybe the catalyst is the one that forms kinetic energy. Let's read more. I want to go up and just read this. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. The typical phrase of the Christian religion, of the Judaic tradition, always seems to me to be an ancient affirmation of the idea of the universe, use vibration to generate energy. All right, so as in the beginning, the first wave becoming a particle has potential energy, which when divided generates kinetic energy. This marks the two primary types of energy in the universe. What is potential energy? It is latent in the object, accumulated, that has power, that has the power to move. It implies a relationship. It implies a relationship of position and space of one body to another, like a magnet, which is, okay, let's read that again. Hold on. It is that latent in the object, accumulated, that has the power to move. It implies a relationship of position and space of one body to another, like a magnet. So the catalyst is space. That's here, 3D, that's us. The experience is time. Okay. It implies a relationship of position and space of one body to another, like a magnet with its positive side and another magnet with its negative side. Both forces are potentials because they are latent in them, inherent to the bodies, and both pulsate, each to join the other. Yeah, so that makes sense, right? So we have one atom, it can split. We have a proton, then we have a neutron. Around them are electrons, but when the potentiation, once it splits, this energy of the inside atom or cell is the potentiator. So that's what energy is. So the energy is within the splitting, the proton and the neutron and the electrons around it. That's an action. That's growth and movement, actually, because one cell has now become two. There are different types of this potential energy, such as gravitational, elastic, chemical, electric, nuclear, and magnetic potential. What do you mean? All of these are types of potential energy since it is found in the object in relation to other objects. For example, it is found in the object in relation to other objects. It is found in the object in relation to other objects. So it is that latent in the object accumulated that has the power to move. It implies the relationship of position and space of one body to another, like a magnet, with its positive side and negative side, with its, it's like the toroidal field, right? Comes back, opens, comes back. But this happens with the split of a proton. For example, the gravitational potential energy is what allows the movement of the stars, whose movement are given by the amount of mass they have attracting each other, like the Earth rotating around the sun. Yeah. From this arises, or is understood, the magnetic potential energy. Which, due to the mass pressure of an object, generates magnetization of its particles, creating a magnetic field that produces movement in the body that is affected by. You know what this makes me think? So we have 12 star systems, right? So in the major arcana, we have altogether 27, 14, 21, 22 cards. And these cards, to me, represent the archetypes. So the archetypes are the 12 star systems. And then it also represents the planets. In my opinion, the archetypes of the planets. And that's what I've always kind of thought it was. But with this sentence now, I feel like it is. So let's read this again. So for example, the gravitational potential energy is what allows the movement of the stars. We have 12 star systems that rule, which are archetypes that rule our Earth here, the energies on the Earth. Okay, so that's the gravitational potential energy is what allows the movement of the stars, whose movement are given by the amount of mass they have, attracting each other like the Earth rotating around the sun. Okay. From that arises the magnetic potential energy, which due to the mass pressure of an object generates magnetization in its particles, creating a magnetic field, which produces movement in the body that is affected by this field. So I think that's the planets. In addition, you have elastic potential energy, the principle of which lies in materials with the ability to seek the balance of their initial shape when they are stretched or moved away from the initial place, such as a rope or elastic band or spring. This reminds me of the matrix of the body complex. We need to come back to balance. We're stretched and like our so first density is one line, right? First density is basically stretching one line, one dimension. Second dimension, and I'm not sure if the one line was upwards first or if the one line was pulled this way. But the second dimension, the potentiator, is when, so this one line then has another line. And what does this look like? It looks like the cross, right? So now we have a line going down and we have a line going this way. So we have the matrix and we have the potentiator, or we have the potentiator this way and we have the matrix this way. I'm not sure. I think it's matrix this way and potentiator this way. And then your 3D, the reason we're living a 3D reality right now is because we have dimension. So from back to front, my whole body, this is all the dimension. So now we have a line running this way, a line running this way, and we have depth. So the reason I think what he's talking about is the scales coming back to balance. We're service to selves because we're distorted, that we have to serve ourselves, and we do that out of fear. That's what we're taught in 3D. So this distortion affects all of your cells, of course. Your emotions affect your cells. And what we need to do through changing that magnetization that he just talked about and that gravitational pull that he just talked about through thought and praying to your organs, this body complex begins to come back into balance, and you release the intertwining of the matrix and the body complex that happens in your chakras. And your chakras are all your cells. It's not just, they're not just, okay, well, let's keep reading. Okay, in addition, you have elastic potential energy, the principle of which lies in materials with the ability to seek the balance of their initial shape. So going back to the initial okay. Chemical potential energy is what is stored in the bonds of atoms that exchange charges. It transforms when combined with other chemicals, generating chemical reactions like fire when burning something, or the calories that your body adds when eating. Electrical potential energy is perhaps the one that you have most recognized, as it is the one that generates in the interaction of bodies or particles that have different charges, positive and negative, such as an electron and a proton. It is what gives current, light, electricity to a house, or what allows lightning to be charged from the clouds to the earth. And finally, the nuclear potential energy, which is what is kept stored by uniting protons and neutrons, is the nucleus of an atom, hence the nuclear. So the nuclear potential energy is what is kept stored by uniting the protons and neutrons. That's what I was just talking about. So when they split, you have a neutron, you have a proton, electrons around. So the nuclear energy unites them, keeps them united. Okay, and then the electrical energy is the field around them. So we have a positive charge on top and a negative charge on the bottom, right? And that's what gets this energy spinning. That's the spark. The spark for us is our emotion. That's what sparks all of what we manifest. Okay, what about kinetic energy? Kinetic comes from the Greek kine, which means movement. Oh, so maybe the potentiator is both potential and its kinetic energy. That is, it is the energy that is produced by the action of friction of one or more objects, and that does not exist potentially. Say that again. Kinetics comes from it means movement. That is, it is the energy that is produced by the action or friction of one or more objects. Okay, so it's already potentiated. And that one or more objects, and that does not exist potentially within one of them. I don't get that. This incorporates mechanical, thermal, sound, and solar kinetic energy. Basically, from the world of particles to the world of planets and stars, kinetic energy is generated in the constant movement of something. So potential and kinetic energy are twinned. Huh? So in the Law of One Tarot, like I said, here's the potentiator, right? Of the mind complex, of the body complex, the hermit, and of the spirit complex is the Tower card. And the potentiator is it's action. It's your meditation. Meditation is inner movement of your cells to get to the depth of your cells and your DNA, and just understand, like, ask that question, show me, you know? We want to meditate right to get to the water of the organs that we have. So I wonder if this is also kinetic energy, because this is the potentiator in the Law of One Tarot, I believe, is growth and movement. So it sounds like kinetics is whatever is moving inside, growing inside. The kinetics is, it causes it to move outside as well. That's what I'm kind of getting, because it says it's twinned. Mechanics explain the unit or sum between potential and kinetics, in which taking into account the natural position of an object, its movement is added, such as when jumping from a position of height in which the potential energy gravity is manifested, but at the same time it decreases when jumping upwards, turning on the kinetics. Due to movement and accelerates when falling, and in both cases mechanical energy was constantly at work. In the case of thermal, it is given by the speed of collision between different particles, since heat is nothing more than millions of particles accelerating their speed when receiving an access of external energy. Sound energy is mechanical because it is produced by the vibration of strings or resonance devices that receive the pressure of external energy. Yeah, so maybe kinetics is the external energy, but it's still part of the potentiator. The hydrogen and helium of the sun are a constant fusion and reaction due to the potential energy of the solar mass, so the potential energy is the inside energy of the cell, right? The inside energy. So the hydrogen and helium of the sun are in constant fusion and reaction due to the potential energy of solar mass, which breaks the nuclei of the atoms, like that, generating the energy and brightness that we receive from it, which when fired into space moves the particles of the atmosphere and biosphere, being the engine of life on Earth. And with an engine. Kinetic energy can be divided into three: classical, relativistic, and quantum. In the classic, everything we have said previously is described, how energy is proportional to its mass and movement. The relativist explains that no object can reach the speed of light, and therefore, if it approaches it, the object would tend to generate infinite kinetic energy, infinite external energy. It's already movement. In the quantum, energy is defined by the wave function of an electron, which graphically and physically represents a system of particles. So it's the electrons, the ones that move outside. You got your proton, you got your neutron. Electrons move around the outside. So the quantum is energy. In quantum, energy is defined by the wave. Yeah, because you have your positive, negative, right? And then you have your, again, positive, negative. In quantum, energy is defined by the wave function of an electron, which graphically or physically represents a system of particles. Your entire body is provided with potential and kinetic energy. Every particle of your being is unified with nuclear atomic energy. So, nuclear atomic. Nuclear is the proton, right? Proton and neutron. Atomic is the electrons around, I think. The basis that maintains unity and order in the universe. Each atom contains a magnetic and electric energy, and in its organ functions activates its mechanical potential. The cells are organized elastically, having the possibility of being damaged and reestablished in their initial tissue. Yeah, so we always have cells. Cells die every day, and they establish themselves. Every day you experience chemical reactions that burn calories in your body, which you make available in kinetic energy, acting, walking, doing things. Yeah, so it is external. And weight you feel is the gravity that makes you be here and now. You feel the warmth of the sun as you walk down the street, the wind on the face, the sound of music, and the words that you hear that come out of you. And when you make yourself a tea, everything is energy. Each mineral in your body and the constant thermal and chemical transformation of your body generates incessant workforce, which produces electrical pulses transmitting information through magnetic channels. So information through magnetic channels, electrical. So what's happening here? The matrix and the potentiator are constantly, we've talked about this, in a cycle together. This is what is bringing the electric and the magnetic in the beginning of life until you put consciousness onto it and you start changing your emotions, if that's what it's all about emotions, right? Like being aware of patterns. Time, remember we talked about, it's basically throughout time, all lifetimes, the patterns that you've developed, and it's breaking those patterns and learning from them and moving on. Thus, the mechanical functions of your organs are generating a constant network of energy circulating in your cells and body, which are called energy centers. So chakras, wheels of energy, right here. Catalyst, body complex. This isn't a wheel of fortune. This is your chakra wheels in every single cell in your body. You've got your positive, you've got your negative, you've got a charge from the top, you've got grounding from the bottom. And who are you going to allow to spin the wheel? Are you going to let this angel that you see, or you see this devil? And that's your thoughts. And the reason I think it's your thoughts is because the third eye here needs to be stimulated for this chakra wheel to move in a way where you can become more conscious. And remember, the pineal gland we talked about, when it's stimulated, it doesn't give you the answers at all. It doesn't give you truth. There is no truth. It gives you a different perspective through an idea. It's an idea. And the idea will come into fruition depending on how you visualize it. And that is up to you. And in order to activate the third eye and not for it to, because it's in this box, right? And she's sitting on the box. And then there's this half moon that she's got her feet on as well. But she does have the sun or a circle around her head, the top, and that's what we were talking about. So if you visualize, if you want to stimulate this third eye, you can visualize the protons from the sun coming into your crown chakra, stimulating the pineal. Your pineal will, it's always moving, right? It'll stimulate it. It enjoys that. And through that, once it's activated, if you can just close your eyes and use this potential energy to your advantage, so go deep at that moment and allow the ideas to come through, your cells will start helping. This chakra wheel will start moving towards creativity. I think I'm going to leave it at that, and the rest of it we will carry on tomorrow. Love you guys so much. Bye.